What's up, guys? Steve here with Climb the Pocket, back with another fantasy football video. Today, we have a 12-team half PPR mock draft with some guys from Twitter just breaking down what the ADP looks like right now in April going towards the NFL season in 2021. This is pre-NFL draft, but rookies are included, so some of the value that you might get on rookies might be inflated or deflated depending on what team they do go in to the draft. Before we get into the draft, if you're not subscribed to the channel already, I encourage you to subscribe. We got good content coming all summer, and then throughout the season, our famous start sit videos for you every single week to help you set your lineup. And make sure to go check out the Climb the Pocket website. Tons of good articles over there. So let's go ahead and get into the draft. I do have this third selection. There's a couple other guys in the draft that took the 5th, 6th, and 12th. The rest will be CPU picks. So let's go ahead and begin the draft. I wanted to take the third pick because I feel like it's kind of at the first decision point. It looks like Alvin Kamara went 101 in this one. I do not expect that when you have these computers drafting. They kind of mix it around, so every draft is different. I expect Christian McCaffrey to go number 1 and Dalvin Cook to go number 2. But because Dalvin Cook is here on the board, I'm going to take him. With Dalvin Cook, you know that you will get a good 14 games out of him, and he will be a top 3 running back. He is just that good. Now, certainly when those injuries come, that will be the question. Will he be there for you in your playoff run? We will see. But I'm going to take the chance that he has a good, healthy season. And if he has a few injury bugs, they're earlier on in the season and they will not hurt me. But even if they are at the end of the season, I know he will help me make it to the playoffs. He's a top 3 fantasy football running back every single year. We see a pretty big running back run right away. We see Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry. I think that is the top 5 picks this year in fantasy football. The 6th pick is really where you can start considering Devontae Adams. I like what Tyler did right there. Take Jonathan Taylor. I think he's going to be a great pick in fantasy football. How early will he go in your draft? That's going to be the real fun thing to watch. I would consider him taking him that point. What we saw from Jonathan Taylor last year at the end of the draft, or at the end of the year, was just too much to ignore. The guy was averaging over 20 attempts a game easy. They bring in Carson Wentz and get rid of Phillip Rivers. That might hurt him in the passing game a little bit. What we saw in Philly last year, I don't know if we can completely correlate that with Carson Wentz completely and what he's able to do in Indianapolis. I think they have a much better game plan there. So I like Jonathan Taylor. I think he's just growing. If you have him in Dynasty, I think that's going to be a great guy you're going to want to hold on to every single year. We see a lot of running backs go off. We see 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 running backs through 1.5 rounds. Travis Kelce at the turn at the 2-1. That's interesting. Michael Thomas seems kind of early at the, 13th, 14th, 15th pick overall, just based off what happened last year. We don't know what's going on with the quarterback situation in New Orleans. Is it Jameis? Is it going to be Taysom Hill? We don't know. I'm back on the board. Mike Evans just went right before me. I like to stack up the running backs early because I know how important they are. So I'm going to go ahead and take Cam Akers here. What we saw Cam Akers, similar to Jonathan Taylor at the end of the year last year, was just too much to ignore. He was just so good at the end of the year, and he was just getting so many carries. And Sean McVay has come out saying that he thinks Cam Akers can be an every down back. So I love that. And I'm going to go ahead and secure my first wide receiver. It's between A.J. Brown and Stefan Diggs. I'm going to take Diggs here because I really like what he did with Josh Allen last year in his first year. It's not too often you see a wide receiver go to a new team, or a player in general go to a new team and have as good of a season as Stefan Diggs did. He really made himself and said, I'm a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL. And it's pretty hard to make an argument against that right now. Him and Josh Allen have a rapport, and I just think it's going to keep getting bigger. I really like A.J. Brown. He went with the next pick. But both those guys are going to be pretty close. I think Stefan Diggs in the 3rd round is a really good value. I think he'll go earlier in most leagues. We see Patrick Mahomes go off at 3-1. I think that's going to be pretty normal. I don't think we have 2 top quarterbacks like we did with Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson last year, but I personally like to wait on quarterbacks, so I will be waiting in this draft if I can, unless value slips to me. After that, we see James Robinson. Obviously, I took Diggs, A.J. Brown, Antonio Gibson, Najee Harris goes to Tyler Moss. I know he's a big dynasty guy. He likes these rookies. If Najee Harris goes to the right spot, I think him in the 3rd round is going to be a slam dunk. Pittsburgh is what I'm looking for. If you can go to Pittsburgh, I really, really like that. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Chris Godwin. Obviously, some other tight ends go off the board. George Kittle, Darren Waller in the 4th round is a really good pick. I like that. But looking at our team, I'm looking to get another running back or a wide receiver. I don't really like necessarily any. I don't really want to take Mark Andrews. I'm it's questionable with what Lamar Jackson can do after we saw it last year coming off the MVP season. I'm questioning his ability to throw the ball. Certainly, he's a good player and a good quarterback and a good fantasy quarterback with all of his rushing yards he adds. But I'm going to go ahead and take another wide receiver here, and I love Keenan Allen. I mean, Keenan Allen in the 4th round seems like a really good value just because him and Justin Herbert is growing. He can only get better, and Keenan Allen is one of the best wide receivers in the league, best route runner in the league up there with Devontae Adams. Love him in the 4th round right there. So right here, I'm considering, I want to look for another running back. I like to get 3 or 5 running backs before round 9. I know it sounds like a lot, but I like to, so then I don't have to look in the deep rounds for running backs. And Dave Montgomery is sitting down here at number 58 on the sleeper rankings, and that's just too good of an opportunity to miss up. They had incompetent quarterback play last year. I think that continues this year. Tariq Cohen was gone. I don't know if he really bites into what Dave Montgomery's opportunity share is going to be after what they saw Dave Montgomery can do when they give him the ball. I think the Bears are a better team when they run the ball a lot, and Dave Montgomery is going to be the forefront of that rushing attack, so I will take Dave Montgomery here. And I love the way my team's looking with Dalvin Cook, Cam Akers, Stefan Diggs, Keenan Allen, and Dave Montgomery. This is a good start for me. I'm really, really liking it. Some other key picks that we saw, Justin Jefferson at 4-1, that's a steal. I've been seeing him go as soon as wide receiver 5, and he definitely slips all the way to the 4th round here. Travis Etienne, he goes at 4.2. I like that. Darren Waller, obviously we talked about. Adam Thielen in the 4th round. People are slipping on Adam Thielen because all the Justin Jefferson hype. This guy was a touchdown monster last year. Even if he regresses towards the norm, I think Adam Thielen is going to be a good pick. I don't mind him in the 4th round, especially as Team 4's wide receiver 3. That's a really good pick. Jamar Chase, another rookie, goes in the 4th round at 4.11. Juju at 5.2. We'll have to see what Juju is doing. This is obviously Ben will play this year. What's going on in Pittsburgh? I'm not sure. I think Deontay Johnson is the top dog there. So I like Deontay Johnson. I think I still see Deontay Johnson on the board if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, he must have got picked. I'm not seeing his name. No, I'm not sure exactly where we went. Aaron Rodgers, Kyler Murray, big quarterback run here. Don't want to be at the end of a quarterback run. I'll continue to look at my value. Guys I like that are still here. Josh Allen here. I mean, this is incredible. Every platform has their own rankings and whatnot, and I think Josh Allen is the number 2 quarterback this year in fantasy. And he's ranked here at 72 overall, and there have been plenty of other quarterbacks that have come off the board, and I think Josh Allen is better than everyone but Patrick Mahomes. So I'm going to go ahead and scoop up Josh Allen here. I think that's a fantastic value on him, and not going to think twice about it. Todd Gurley going in the 7th round, that doesn't seem really correct, and then Deshaun Watson obviously going to the computer. I think that's obviously just some buzz. I don't think he's going to go anywhere in the top 13 rounds in your home draft if you drafted today. So we're going to be looking at more running backs right now. We could use another wide receiver. This league, you only start 2 wide receivers, so I'm going to be starting 3 running backs every week if I can. Just looking at the players overall, I like Myles Gaskin. I like Raheem Mostert. He'll most likely be my pick. I don't really love a lot of the receivers in this area, so I'm going to go ahead and take Mostert here. Mostert's got home run hitting ability every year. We don't know what the plan is for the 49ers rushing attack. Every single game they play, we don't know. Jeff Wilson, when he had the opportunity last year, is great, but when Raheem Mostert's available, he's a number 1 guy. He'll never get 15 carries in the game, but he really only needs 8 to 10 to be able to have one of those big plays or even just multiple plays with really good efficiency, and he can put together a good game for you. So I like Raheem Mostert as my RB4. That's fantastic. Now that we have 4 running backs and we're in round 7, it looks like I'm going to be looking for a couple of more wide receivers to go with Keenan Allen and Stefan Diggs here. And I really like some of the receivers that are in this location. Tyler Boyd down here is fantastic value. I think him, and if Joe Burrow is healthy, he's going to be a great pick. With T. Higgins, there's no ceiling to what they can do. I think Joe Burrow had a really good season right away. Deontay Johnson down here at 109. These rankings don't really seem up to par with some of the other ranking sets out there on other websites, other fantasy platforms. I think some of my counterparts in this draft aren't really looking down like I'm doing, and that's what you need to do. You need to take advantage of value when it slips to you in fantasy football drafts. And in this one, I'm looking at 3 guys really, and Tyler Boyd, Deontay Johnson, and Deebo Samuel. And if we can scoop up both of them, that would just be amazing. but those are really good values. Those are the guys I'm looking for right now to draft. We'll see if any of these guys make it back to me. Mark Ingram in the 8th round, that doesn't make sense to me. Mark Ingram is a nobody at this point. He's in Houston. That franchise is in shambles with all the Deshaun Watson stuff, getting rid of Watt, getting rid of Hopkins last year. It just doesn't make too much sense. We see Tyler Boyd go to Tyler right there. That was a great pick. He definitely had a wide receiver run there. It goes 3 running backs, 4 wide receivers. I like the strategy. I like Terry McLaurin, Tyler Boyd, obviously. We'll see what Colin does here, but we're going to get hopefully one of our guys in Deontay Johnson and Deebo Samuel. I'm thinking Colin will be smart enough and go down and see Deontay Johnson and scoop him up. He took Kyle Pitts in the 6th round. That's going to be an interesting one. This guy is probably the best tight end prospect since Gronk. Just no doubt. This guy is amazing. So he takes Jarvis Landry. Le'Veon Bell goes. And the fact that I'm getting Deontay Johnson right here is a little unreal. I will capitalize on it in this draft, but you need to recognize where players are slipping in your drafts. These home leagues, people tend to do, your friends tend to do crazy things, and it creates value at different points in the draft, and Deontay Johnson was one right there. So I'm going to scoop him up, no questions asked. We're starting to look probably in the tight end range. Some of the tight ends that are still available that I would consider taking are Tyler Higbee with Gerald Everett gone. I love that. TJ Hawkinson still here. I think I'm going to scoop up Hawkinson. This is just too good of a value, even though he's at this 125 overall, and there seems to be other tight ends above him. Hunter Henry's great. Tyler Higbee's great. What Hawkinson did last year is just really good to watch, and he's got Jared Goff, another competent quarterback similar to Matthew Stafford. I think he can get it done, so I will scoop up TJ Hawkinson. That's going to be a good pick for me right there in the 9th round. Now in this draft, we don't have too many bench spots. I have 1 running back and 1 wide receiver on the bench just for time purposes of the video. But you're going to want to load up that bench with skill position players. I don't recommend drafting 2 quarterbacks unless you're picking an upside guy and then you want to pick a safe guy later just so you have him as a backup if that upside guy doesn't work out right away. Last year's similar situation was like picking Daniel Jones. There was a lot of hype around him in the draft. He was rising up in ADP as drafts came along, and then he ended up not having a good season. He had a tough schedule right away, and he just never panned out. So you could drop him and then put in your safe quarterback right away. It looks like Colin was able to get Deebo Samuel on the wraparound. I love that pick. Tyler picks up Ryan Tannehill. Love that. Matt Ryan goes. Tom Brady goes. Just a couple quarterbacks going. Chase Edmonds could be a really good value. I know James Conner just went to Arizona, but I think Chase Edmonds will be the guy there, and James Conner will be more of a change of pace back, maybe 5 to 7 carries a game, but I think Chase Edmonds will be the guy. Not an every down, 3 down back, but a guy that will get most of the opportunity on the team. So I like that a lot. And now looking at what we're looking for right now, we're just looking to get more value, fill out our wide receivers and running backs as much as we can. So if we look at the running back position, some of the top candidates I would consider. There's really not too much because the rosters are so small in this format I have going. I'm not going to take a handcuff running back. Let's go with the wide receivers. Christian Kirk is a decent guy. Emmanuel Sanders with John Brown leaving could be a decent pick. I don't mind that. Chase Claypool, man, see, this is what I'm talking about, guys. You got to see the value. Brandon Ayuk right here in the 10th round is a steal. It's an absolute steal. I mean, what he had going with whatever quarterback was playing as a rookie on the 49ers last year was incredible to watch. I love Brandon Ayuk. I think him and Deebo Samuel are going to be similar value, which is, we see them going at similar points in this draft. I don't know how far Brandon Ayuk would have slipped if I didn't just scoop him right there. But that's a great pick for me right there. I really like that. And then when we go ahead, we're going to try to pick a running back right here. There's not a lot of guys I like. It really depends on the rookies, what team they go to, whether I'm going to scoop them up or not. There's not too many guys here that I see slipping too far in this draft. It's definitely an interesting spot. We'll go ahead and have some fun, and we'll take Tony Pollard. I know I said I don't want to take a backup, but it seems like him and Zeke are going to have a little bit of a split going on. And what Tony Pollard did last year was actually pretty good when Zeke was on the field. When Dak went down, and even when Zeke was off the field, Tony Pollard showed that he could get the job done. He had some pretty big boom games, especially in the fantasy playoffs last year. And that's why it's important to handcuff your running backs later on in the season. I don't usually draft them. I try to scoop them up when people drop the running back handcuffs that they draft identify the week that it's a good value to pick that guy up off the waiver, that he's available, and then pick him up and keep him on your team from there. But holding him on early on from the draft, he's just going to sit on your bench all year. And if nothing happens to your running back, his handcuff, then you kind of just wasted a bench spot all year. And your bench positions are key to have room all the time on your bench for depth, for good value on the waiver wire, for guys emerging on their team. So we got Raheem Mostert and Tony Pollard as our backup running backs. We have 3 starting running backs, so I feel good about that. I'm probably going to try to identify another wide receiver to take here in the last round, the 12th round. Like I said, short draft for time purposes on the video. But guys, we're looking at Christian Kirk. We're looking at Jalen Rieger. I think with him and Jalen Hurts could get going, it could be special this year. Robert Tanyan, I would suggest getting another tight end here. With the low roster size, I might skip out on that. But I do like Robert Tanyan. Corey Davis is the new wide receiver one in New York. That could be interesting. Darnell Mooney, we saw what he could do, but once again, questionable quarterback play in Chicago once again. I think I'm going to go ahead and take Jalen Rieger here. Second-year guy. There's a lot that he can do. So we'll see what him and Jalen Hurts can work up there. Jalen Hurts is the guy in Philadelphia. So let's go ahead and review our team here. At quarterback, we have Josh Allen. Our starting running backs are Dalvin Cook, Cam Akers, and David Montgomery. Our starting wide receivers are Stefan Diggs and Keenan Allen. Our starting tight end is TJ Hawkinson. And our bench guys are Raheem Mostert, Deontay Johnson, Brandon Ayuk, and Tony Pollard, and Jalen Rieger. So, guys, that was the mock draft. It is April pre-NFL draft, and that's kind of just what the ADPs are looking like right now on Sleeper with a lot of CPUs in here. That's kind of what you're getting here. Like I said, all the platforms are different, but this is the team that I came up with. And leave a comment below. I think it's pretty nice, and I think you'll agree. Drop a comment below on what you think of my team. Like the video. I appreciate it. And like I said, go check out our website, climbthepocket.com, and at climbthepocket on Twitter. Find me at Steve_CTP. We'll be back with tons of more off-season content throughout the summer to help you identify players in your draft that you should be drafting, that you shouldn't be drafting, doing rankings. Me and Bootleg Fantasy on Twitter all day are talking fantasy football, and we're the ones that make these videos every single week. So if you enjoy them, subscribe, and thank you for stopping by, and we'll catch you next time. See ya.